Hi everybody, welcome back to class. It's Mark, and this is Module 2, Week 2 of our time together. And now that we're in Week 2, it's time to really get to work on the writing projects. And I've got a couple of tools that I'll show you in a short while that I think will help you get off to a good start. So, as I mentioned, we're in Module 2, so we're going to navigate over there and see what we have to do for this week. The big project is, as you'll hear me discuss in just a second, is a half draft, not a full draft, of your first writing project. From Module 2, you can see that it has summary and response, citations and formatting, and again I'm going to show you an example of that. Reading Chapter 3 from the text, a section on preparing for critical rereading, and here are the list of core readings. As I mentioned before, it's important that you choose wisely on this first writing project because this is the same writing project you will be using for all of your essays in the class. Now, the essays do start off fairly simple, and they get progressively more complex as we go through additional writing projects. But we're going to start off fairly small, just to allow you to get a feel for how the class will work. And I'll have more to say about that at the end. Here are the summary and response instructions. I'll get back to that in a minute. The textbook, of course, chapter 24, 25, in addition to the other chapter I mentioned. We are going to take an exercise on APA style citations. Notice that MLA is grayed out. It's not available to you because we're not using MLA this time. There is a new discussion board on critical rereading, which will help you prepare for the first writing project. This is where you will be posting it. And last, the instructions. So I'm going to go in reverse order, and we're going to open up, excuse me, that's the peer response. This is the one I wanted. Notice it's only worth 25 points, and it's because this is half of what your final essay will look like, and you'll be turning that in next week. But I'll get to that in just a moment. First of all, as I said, we're writing an APA format, and your half draft is only going to be 350 to 450 words. Now this says no more, no less. I certainly don't want you to write less, but if you do go over, I'm not going to be upset by that. It gives me more to evaluate and more to give you feedback on. So try and hit the 350 mark. If it ends up being 600 words, I'm never going to complain. You will get feedback on this half draft from both the other folks in the course and from me. Now what I'll do when you turn in your half draft is I'm going to read it, of course, and I'm going to make comments on it, on what I think is good, what I think needs work, some mistakes you might have made, and I'm going to email it back to you along with my thoughts. Now, I use Word, well, we're all using Word, and I use the review function. When you get the email from me, it's important that you save the file and then open it. If you just open it, you may not see my comments. So always save it to your desktop, save it to a flash drive, and then open up the document. If you don't see the comments, well, then send me a text and we'll try and figure out what went wrong. Let's take a look at the writing project instructions. As I mentioned in my first video, I'm not going to go through everything because I know you're going to later, and I also want to keep these fairly short. I don't want to take too much of your time. All right, here are the instructions. Notice this is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages long. Don't worry about that. For this week, you're only looking at pages 1 and 2. The rest of it, you can wait until the following week. Again, it mentions the word count, 750 words. That is for your final draft. Don't worry about getting up to that number just yet. You're going to choose one of the core readings to focus on. You're going to complete the working with sources exercise, which is important because even though this is only a half draft, you do have to include a references page. For this first writing project, you might only have one reference, and that is the article that you are summarizing and responding to. That's fine. As we continue on, you'll begin to add more and more sources. Here's the key issue. You have to do 3 things in this half draft and in your final version. You're going to describe the core reading. I'll show you a good example of this in just a moment. Who wrote it? Where did it appear? And what does it say? and you're going to summarize what is the writer's point. And then you're going to respond to it, meaning give me your own thoughts on the same subject. So describe the text, summarize the text, and respond to the text. You do need to include at least 3 paraphrases and/or quotations of the text that you are responding to. And you'll probably include most of these in the summarization section. You do have to include a purpose statement. Now, the word count, as I mentioned, 350 to 450 words. The purpose statement does not count in that total. It's something separate. Purpose statement, 150 words. Think of your audience, which is me and the other folks in the class, and think about what they need to know about this from you. So you're going to include a cover page, your purpose statement, and then the half draft. So what is this going to look like? Well, let me show you a good example. This is one I pulled from a previous student, and I won't say this is perfect, but it's a pretty good start. And I'm going to post this along with my announcement so you can read it. If you follow this format, then you're going to do very well on this. Let's talk about getting the little things right. Notice this writer included their title in a running head. That's APA format. And the pages are numbered. This is how your cover page should appear. Now we're going to use the terms cover page and cover letter. They kind of go interchangeably, but they are 2 distinct and different things. Cover letter is also referred to as a purpose statement. Title of the essay, the student's name, obviously your name goes there, and Ivy Tech Community College. You don't put my name on it. You don't have to put the date on it. This is all the content that you need. Now this one doesn't include a cover letter. You can forgive that. It was from a different semester. We weren't necessarily doing cover letters at that time, so ignore that part. But this student still has their running head up here, page number, title, and then they jump into it. And notice they have quotes liberally scattered throughout. And this student did a good job of summarizing and responding. Now, I know you're going to read this, so I'm not going to read it for you. You can see it continues on for about a page and a half. That's a good total for a half draft. It gives me an idea, and the other folks in the class, an idea of where you're taking this, where you're headed, and what your point ultimately will be. Now, what this doesn't include is necessarily their response to the article that they're summarizing, but they did do a good job with that at the end. But notice also on the last page, they did a good job with references, and you need to do that as well. Now, having taught this course for a little while, I will tell you one thing that many people get wrong early in the semester is how the citations are formatted, and this person did it right. They list the author's last name first, then their first initial, parentheses about when it appeared, title, where they found it, and the source. And notice, and this is a common mistake, the second line is indented. I don't know how many times I've seen it where the person indents the first line and does left justify on the second line. Do it in this format. It'll be great. And again, I'm going to post this on this week's announcement so you can refer back to it. Take a chance to read it. I think you'll get a good feel for the format of this paper and what we're looking for. We're going to go back into the class. And I think we've discussed everything. Here's the grading scale. Notice the half draft is only worth 25 points. The final version of the first essay is actually worth 75. So 25 for now, 75 later for a total of 100. Let's go back into the module. And see what else we can find there. Summary and response instructions, and discussion. That's what I was looking for. For this discussion, you're going to post a copy of your half draft onto the discussion board, and you're also going to respond to everyone else's. Well, I shouldn't say everyone else's. You're going to respond to the half drafts of at least 2 other students. When you're looking through the discussion board, if you see that somebody already has, say, 3 responses from 3 other students, try and find somebody that doesn't have any feedback yet. That way we're spreading it out evenly. Now, I'm recording this on Saturday, January 18th. Of course, our class is going to start on Monday, January 20th. But your post to the discussion board should be done by the middle of next week for the half draft, and that'll give you plenty of time to do your responses. Let's go back 1 and go back into Module 2. And take a quick look at the exercise and style citations. 20-point quiz. Notice you get 3 attempts. So if you do it once and it doesn't work out so well, maybe you missed 1 or 2 and you really want to shoot for that perfect score, take it again. You have plenty of opportunity. So in just a couple of seconds that we have left, let's take one more look around. Textbook reading Chapter 3 and review Chapter 19. There is some information on preparing for critical rereading and writing Project 1. Here is the list of core readings. Again, you can pick anything you want. It doesn't matter. Whatever interests you, whatever you can find passion about. The one thing you can't do once you start writing about that subject really is change it. So make sure you choose carefully. Discussion on critical rereading. There's the summary and response instructions for writing Project 1. Your textbook again. An exercise on style, citations, a discussion board on critical rereading, and then posting your half draft to me and then to the discussion board. This is where you'll turn it into me. This is where you will post it to the discussion board. Now, I think this is obvious, but I'm going to go ahead and mention it now. You must use Microsoft Word for all your writing projects. I know some of you are Apple users, and whatever the word processing application is for that, I get it. You can't turn it in. Neither can you turn in a PDF document. It has to be a Word document. If you don't have Word, you can download it for free through Ivy Tech. I believe that covers it all for this week. But hey, you know what? If I missed something, if I overlooked something, or if you just want to chat or you have a question, you know how to hit me up. The number is 812-498-4200. That's my personal cell number. You can text me anytime. I look forward to talking with you. My job in all of this is to make sure that you succeed. And I can't help you do that if we're not communicating when issues come around. That's all I've got, everyone, for this week. Hope you have a great week, and I'll be talking with you soon. Thanks.